Hey everyone, my name's Abby and welcome to the Brown and Bougie podcast, where I'm keeping it raw, real and relatable. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Brown and Bougie podcast. As you can tell, I've got a guest with me, and it's my pleasure to introduce my friend Niran, who is the face behind the Instagram page yogisnaps. So as always, I'm going to let him do the introduction. So Niran, tell us about yourself. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad. I'm really excited for today's conversation. Got lots of things to ask you, lots of things to talk about.
Sure.
So yeah, please let us know about yourself.
Thanks for having me, Abby, on this show. I'm actually very, very privileged to be here. As Abby said, my name's Niran, and I've known Abby for quite a long time, since summer school back in the days.
Yeah, long.
And she's right. So I'm kind of the face behind yogisnaps 20, which is a photography page that I started kind of 3 years ago. It's a part-time thing that I do, just post content that I take from around the world just to bring a smile on people's faces.
Yeah, I mean, you smash it. Like the places you have been to, like you've been to like Zanzibar and like random places like that. Because I travel to like the sort of like not the same places, but like the common places. But you go to like the random place. So where does that sort of start? Like in terms of choosing a place, where does your sort of passion for travel start? Because everyone travels, whatever it is. But I think taking photos the way you take them, I think it's sort of, you're sort of putting two arts of traveling and photography together. So where did that sort of start from? If you could tell me about that journey.
So I think the travel bug per se was lit in me at the end of high school. So before high school was obviously with family, traveling on family holidays and things. And I think after that is when during uni, I had like my own passion. I wanted to try and see as many different things because we're kind of a small part of this world and the world is massive and there's so many peoples and so many beautiful things to see out there. And I think that's where it all started really. And whenever I got some free time, I would literally go and see where I could. It started off with kind of where I had family or was traveling with family. But I think the biggest holidays I had was kind of during the end of kind of medical school, where we went with my friends on kind of a 3-month kind of backpacking holiday, if you would, around Southeast Asia. And the choice of countries is very much kind of a more kind of in with the flow things. If you know, as you know me, I'm a bit more kind of spontaneous with where I go, and especially over the last year with the whole pandemic, everything has been a little bit more restricted as to where you go. So a lot of the holidays last year that we went on were much more kind of planned in the moment and going where we could and where was open and where was reasonable to go.
Yeah, fair enough. No, because I was gonna talk about the pandemic as well, because I didn't travel at all last year, like at all. Where I know that you were still traveling, like you were trying to make the most of every sort of restriction, trying to find where, like they were saying you can sort of go or, whatever it is. So that I think you made the most of it. So how was that? How, like you said, it was in the moment, but do you travel? I know you travel with a couple of friends here and there and things like that, but what's your sort of preferred mode of traveling, especially when it's a bit restricted or anything like that? Or did you feel like, I can't go to this country, but I'll just try this anyway? Is that where it sort of...
Yeah, so actually, I think last year had a lot more kind of staycation. So I'm very much into aviation. So I love kind of flying and I'm always the guy who is very, very passionate about kind of the planes and what planes and models we do. So I love to fly to destinations. So staycations weren't really a thing for me until last year.
And last we didn't have a choice, did we?
Exactly. And then last year we did a few staycations towards the end of the year, which were beautiful. And actually a lot of people come to the UK to experience like beauty, which as people from the UK, we don't. Exactly.
I don't see the UK to be a holiday, but
but that's the thing, like it's like we're in London, so we don't really explore London a lot, and a lot of people come from abroad to visit London because of the kind of fascinations behind it. And similarly, a lot of people explore kind of Cornwall, Devon, all of the national parks around the UK, which I think it's a shame that we don't do more of. And I think if anything, lockdown has showed that actually there are so many beautiful places here in the UK. And at the end of the day, it's helping kind of boost our economy as well, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah. It's weird because actually, like, I don't ever consider a staycation to be a holiday. For me,
Yeah,
my definition of a holiday is even if I end up going to a place and doing nothing and just sitting at a beach all
yeah,
day, for me, it's like the concept of getting on a plane, going somewhere. That is when like it registers that, oh, I'm actually going on holiday. Do you see
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, I
one
get
of
it.
those
Yeah,
things where, but you at the end of the day, like we made, the best of a bad situation, right? Like
yeah,
last year, I think, yeah, I was going on a couple of trips and stuff with friends and stuff because what else can you do? And you're just like, okay, this is my equivalent. I'm gonna just try and do it rather than stay at home all day, which
yeah,
we've been doing for
exactly.
the last year pretty much. So that's good. Cool. So talk to me about in terms of when you go traveling, and it, like I said, you've gone to like the most randomest places. So where does the thought process come? Like, do you just go online? Like if I was to say, I don't know, start traveling and things like that, whatever it is, where would you think like would be the first starting process? Would it just be go online, search cool places to travel? Like what do you do? Because
So
I don't know where to start.
So for me, I think it starts kind of which kind of geographical area to go to, and I think I've always been a fan of kind of the Far East and Southeast Asia. So a lot of my travels have kind of predominantly been there. I've had other opportunities to go to other continents, but that's kind of my go-to Southeast
Yeah.
Asia and stuff because there's so many different cultures, and then for instance, if you take kind of our 3 month backpacking trip, we started off in a location and knew that we wanted to end up this way. So
Okay.
then we'd look at kind of the most
Mhm.
economical way of getting between point A and point B,
Yeah.
without kind of sacrificing time
Mhm.
spent in different countries. So we did
Yeah.
quite a few countries, but we spent a reasonable amount of time just to get a flavor of exactly what the culture and what the country is about, so
Mhm.
that we've got a starting point, so we know exactly what this country has, so that
Mhm.
if we were to go back on a holiday, it's kind of a starting point that we use.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think for me, I start off with a location that I want to go to, and then it kind of stems from there. But obviously, kind of at the moment, everything is changing, so you may
Yeah.
want to go somewhere but it won't work out. For instance,
Yeah.
the whole Zanzibar thing.
Mhm.
Originally, I was planning to go to Hong Kong and South Korea. So this was
Oh,
kind of
okay. Oh,
March.
wow. It's quite
This was
different. Yeah.
exactly this
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
this was March last year. So just at the start of the
Mhm.
pandemic, and I'd booked kind of 2 weeks annual leave from work to get out there. And what happened was flights were starting to be cancelled, and the whole kind of pandemic was starting to take role effect. So kind of places were closing, and we were limited on kind of options,
Mhm.
and we were going to fly out in kind of 2 weeks, so we had to kind of choose a place that was reasonably priced, which
Mhm.
ended up being Zanzibar,
Yeah. Yeah.
in kind of a decent location,
Yeah.
relatively good travel time, and quite cheap to get to.
Mhm.
And that was very much kind of in the moment
Moment,
planning
yeah.
and things.
Mm. Good. That's crazy because they're completely different ends. Like, no, that's crazy. But talking about Zanzibar, because I think Zanzibar is really cool. It's definitely on my
Yeah,
list of places to go. I haven't even gone around that region of the world yet. I will get there, but I haven't gone yet.
yeah.
But where's the coolest country or like the coolest place or like I don't know an experience that for you like was like yeah this is why I do this like when there was probably a few moments probably but like
Yeah.
the one that really stood out for you. What was that moment
I
or that
think
place or
I think the place that has stood out to me the most is probably Japan.
okay.
Um, a lot of people are very much into like Japanese culture at the moment, kind of with the
Hmm.
Japanese food, anime, and
Yeah.
things.
Hmm.
But actually going and experiencing Japan is probably second to none. The
Hmm.
culture is fully amazing. You'll
Yeah.
never see a more kind of disciplined culture. There's so many beautiful sights, so much beautiful scenery,
Hmm.
and you can literally spend months there and not get bored. It is
Yeah.
probably my top destination and
Okay.
such an amazing, beautiful place.
Yeah, I think there's loads to do. I think even from a tourist perspective, even if you were going to do every tourist thing, I think the amount is endless. I've always heard amazing things. Like no one's ever gone to Japan, and I've heard them going, "Oh, it was shit." Like I've never ever heard that ever.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, no, that's amazing. Let's talk. Let's pretend like COVID is going to all be okay.
Yeah.
Let's hope, touch wood. But where's the next place, and what's the next steps from in terms from traveling perspective?
As in coming forward, as in going
Coming
forward.
forward, coming
Okay.
forward. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. So I think at the moment, it's very much kind of restricted to how much time I can get off work,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, of
is
course.
kind of
Yeah.
the problem for everyone, isn't it? And I want to go to a place where you can have a relatively good amount of time to go experience this bit and then come back. So I'm not really sure, to be completely honest. Yeah, everything is kind of up in the air.
Mhm.
But we'll see. There's loads of different places that I want to go. I want to head
Yeah.
to New Zealand and stuff, but
Okay.
it's very, very expensive out there. And I
Mhm.
want to spend a good kind of 4 weeks out there,
Yeah, yeah.
which
There's
is
no
not going
point
to be
going for
anytime
a week.
soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Exactly.
true. Mm.
Exactly. But for me, like kind of, as I said before, flying is not an issue. So I'll happily
Mhm.
spend kind of 24 hours on a flight
Yeah, yeah,
easily.
no, yeah, yeah. My fiance is like that as well. He's an aerospace engineer, so he loves flying. So literally, I think he went to like Perth and he got like a straight flight from London to
Yeah.
Perth. And I was like, I don't know how you can sit on a train like a plane for that, but he loves it. Like he's just like, I can sit here for like even longer. And I was like,
Yeah.
Okay, but
I think
if that's what, it might be something you could try, right? Like,
yeah, I think the craziest journey I've had was it was for my cousin's wedding in Australia. I wasn't planning on going, and then I ended up going, and I ended up having kind of a 14-hour connection
okay,
in Abu Dhabi.
okay,
So the entire journey going there took around kind of almost 36 hours with the stopover.
wow.
I spent 2 days there and then flew back. So I was literally flying for a longer time than I was
What?
in Australia.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I
Um,
think if you time it, I have heard of someone who said that they made it to I think Australian New Year's, like they were in Sydney for New Year's in Australia, and they also
yeah.
made it back in time for London's New Year's,
Oh,
which is
wow.
so weird. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
time it, but that is tiring. Like it's
It's
so
tiring. It's
tiring.
tiring.
Yeah. But if you
Um,
enjoy it, then it's fine, right?
yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned New Zealand. I was actually going to ask you what's your like top 5 places that you haven't been to that you want to go to. So I assume New Zealand's one of them. Where else have you thought about going to? Top 5 places.
So South Africa, I
Okay.
think there's it's meant to be really, really good. Absolutely beautiful. Again, lots to do. I think Iceland is also very, very top
Yeah.
of my thing. I've
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
been to
Same.
Iceland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, where else? And a few countries in South America, so
Yeah.
places like Bolivia.
Hmm.
And I want to do a bit more of kind of Argentina and also
Yeah.
head up to Cuba.
Okay. Yeah.
My
Cuba's
top five.
apparently fantastic. Yeah. Apparently
Exactly.
Cuba's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that. The culture apparently there is insane. You just got to
Yeah.
be careful. Apparently it's a bit dodgy, but apart from that, I mean, it's all fine.
I mean,
Yeah.
everywhere has got
Every place is
dodgy, so it should never
yeah.
stop you. It should never stop
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, yeah. So I picked up on something that you said. You're using the word "we" a lot. So I assume you travel with friends or family a
Yeah,
lot more than you do by yourself. So,
yeah.
have you traveled by yourself
So I've
or
never, I've flown by myself, but I've
Mhm.
never
like
experienced
probably
kind of
okay.
solo travel. It's
Yeah,
something that
yeah.
I would love to do, but
Mhm.
for me, I don't know. It's not something that scares me, but it's just like an uncomfortable experience
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the sense
yeah.
that I like going places because you kind of create loads of memories and create moments and struggles with your friends or family when you go out there, and then to have those kind of solo experiences. Yes, it's something that I would love to do, but it's not. I don't know whether it's something that I will actually do.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm exactly the same boat because I want to do it, but I'm scared. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
And it's
exactly.
like you don't know what's out there. And that's the thing, like every place has its dodginess. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like
Exactly.
even people come here and London is like supposedly dodgy. Do you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
don't
like
know
going
what's
on the
gonna
tube
happen.
is apparently meant to be
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a scary
100%. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But no, that's the thing because I it's on my bucket list of things to do that I want to travel at least once by myself. But I've always gone on trips with family, friends, whatever it is. It's just because that's what I'm used to. I'm quite a people person. I like to be around people that I'm comfortable with
exactly.
and I know, right? So yeah, I don't know. It does give me like a bit of anxiety, but I do want to try it just to push myself and be like it's more like, oh, at least I know I've done it once at least.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But yeah, yeah. I think so. We talked about traveling a lot, but let's talk about your page. Just kind of bring it back to the page
Sure.
about where that. So you travel, you take pictures and things like that. But where was the thought process around actually starting a page? Because I think loads of people do travel, they take pictures, they vlog and they do all of those things and whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if I was a person who was a bit like hesitant to start a page, where would you advice wise, where would you tell someone, okay, like this is where you start, this is why I did it,
Yeah.
kind of thing? What would your advice kind of be?
So I think so I used to kind of post on my personal page initially, and then I think I got to the point where I wanted to keep my kind of personal life a bit separate to my kind of photography, which is what
Yeah.
had kind of pushed me to create Yogi Snaps.
Hmm.
And then in terms of kind of actually focusing on taking photos, I think I can clearly remember the first ever photograph that I think that I took with the mind of kind of posting initially on my personal page, which is the photo is in Croatia, of my glasses looking off at the sunset. And I think it took
Okay.
me a good like 100 shots to get the perfect kind of angle. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where I thought to myself, actually, yes, this is something I do and something that I enjoy. And for me, my photography is very much about landscapes and things rather than kind of portraits. And everyone's
Portrait.
got
Yeah.
their kind of
Hmm.
niche in photography. And if you ask my friends and stuff, I enjoy taking hundreds of photos of landscapes, and I'm hardly in kind of any photos. But for me, the photos of the landscapes or the photos of my friends and my family bring me back to that moment in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And each photo has got 100 different memories behind it. So for
Hmm.
me, all of my photographs have got a personal connection with me, and it
Hmm.
brings me back to my story. And
Yeah.
it's kind of an added bonus that actually people are enjoying my content and people
Hmm.
do enjoy the photos that I take. But yeah, it does take me a lot of time to get there, and it was a little bit of hesitancy from my part to start it, but
Hmm.
I don't think I'll ever look back, and it's something that I do enjoy.
Yeah. No, that's good because I think you're spot on. Like literally, you're supposed to be enjoying it, and also more than anything, it's looking back on it. Actually, it's a really good thing to look back on because even for me,
Exactly.
like I use my podcast as sort of like a side hustle, I guess. But like sometimes when I listen back to my podcast from like say 3 years ago, I'm like, whoa, actually, like maybe my opinions changed, and
Yeah,
like you know, it's basically like a looking back on the past type thing, right? Like whatever.
exactly,
Because
exactly.
that, even for me, like I take loads of pictures when we go on holiday, but they're just in my camera roll. And then how
Exactly.
often do I really look back at them all the time? Not as often. So
Yeah.
that's quite good as well. Yeah.
But then when you do look back at them, it
Yeah.
just floods back all of the
Yeah.
memories and
Yeah.
the happy times and
Hmm.
also the struggles that you had at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's nice. Like I very much anti deleting photos. And
Hmm.
I don't delete photos off my phone. So I've got probably like 35,000 photos on my
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't delete them. I don't back
Yeah.
them. Other than on iCloud, I don't back them up because I
Hmm.
actually like to sit there and go through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, but you know, like they say, a picture is 1,000 memories, isn't it, or something
Exactly.
along those lines. So yeah, no, that's great. Okay, so you talk about traveling in terms of you go on like backpacking sort of culture experiencing holidays, if you want to say. But also, I have seen that you do a lot of chill holidays as well.
Exactly.
For me, chill holidays are what I go on holiday for
Yeah.
personally. But then people will be like, "Oh, but you're not experiencing the culture." So how do
Mm.
you find that balance of trying to find all the the touristy stuff, but also
Yeah.
really getting into the culture of the country? Because I assume you probably, well, I'm assuming, but if you go to a country, I'm assuming you don't go again, or the same place you wouldn't go twice. I don't know if you do that.
No, so I've been to like a few countries multiple times, and
Hmm.
obviously the country and the culture changes every time you go to a country as it develops. Probably the best example of a place that continuously develops is probably Dubai. The culture is
Hmm.
completely different at the moment
Yeah.
to when it was
Yeah.
5 years ago to 10 years
Hmm.
ago.
Hmm.
So in terms of going back to places, I'm not kind of anti going back to places.
Okay.
But for me, I think I agree with you in the sense that I do love to chill and relax and kind of have that time in my holidays. So the kind of way that we do it is maybe there'll be one or two kind of touristy activities that would plan before going to the destination. And then everything else that we do is kind of there and in the moment and
Mm-hmm.
seeing actually if we want a little bit more of a cultural experience, we'll do a little bit more cultural activities. If we want a bit more chill time, then we'll chill. So
Yeah.
it's very much kind of flexible and kind of in the moment with a few kind of planned activities. And for me, that's probably the way that
Yeah.
has worked best.
Yeah. 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 I think it's hard to find that balance because I think even for me now, I sort of do every other day. So I do every other day I'll chill, and then the other days I'll try and do something that's
Yeah,
nearby, and stuff. But yeah, I tend to like do some research beforehand, and I think that's really important to traveling and stuff like that because there are those places that for example, you get ripped off and all these things like that, and
exactly.
you're going to places that actually there's nothing really to see. It's actually better for you to do some research, which I think people forget to do.
Yeah,
If you're trying to go and like not only do a chill holiday but experience things, it's actually really important to research. So I think that's the one thing I've learned over the years is research is very important.
Yeah.
Especially in countries like, I don't know, for example, like India and Sri Lanka and stuff. I know we probably go there just to see family and stuff, but
Yeah.
there's also other things you can do.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's good. Okay, so if I was a person right now and I wanted to go on holiday and I'm looking at something low budget, a bit chilled, but also a fun place, where would you advise?
Oh, low budget.
I'm asking for myself, but I'm also asking for the people. There you go.
Croatia.
Okay.
Dubrovnik is beautiful. Yeah, I would say that is quite cheap. It's beautiful, lots to do, beautiful food, and it's relatively cheap to fly there from the UK as well.
Yes, yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
So just before we go on to the tune of the day, I just wanted to read a passage from one of my favorite books. It's from this book called Breaking Borders, which is by one of my kind of traveling icons. His name is James Asquith, and he's basically the Guinness World Record holder for the youngest male to visit all 196 countries in the world.
What? That's right.
Exactly. And he did it.
That's crazy.
He did it before the age of 25, which is even more amazing. He actually did it on a very, very limited budget. And if you read his book, it's amazing. And it goes through kind of his experiences and all of his different cultures. And I think before this passage, that one of the other things that that kind of emulates in me is that borders are kind of artificially created. And someone's goal shouldn't be to experience all 196 countries, because within one country's borders, you've got so many different cultures and so many different experiences. So even if you don't get to visit every country in the world, there's so much to see within one country, because at the end of the day, borders have been artificially created and separate land up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's something that's always kind of resonated. Oh,
I completely agree with that. I always feel like for me, India and Russia are like that. That's what I immediately think. Like, I always think India has however many states, but every state is so different.
Exactly.
Like, completely different language, completely different culture, completely different food, everything like that. But people be like, I've just been to India. And I was like, but have you done? They were like, I went to Taj Mahal. And I was like, no, you haven't done India. There is so much more to see. Like, absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Yeah, that's a very important thing to remember.
Yeah.
For sure.
But this is the passage. So, we all see the world through different eyes and all have different tastes. And what appealed to me may be your idea of hell on earth. Don't follow anyone's footsteps. Carve out your own path and don't let anyone tell you how to explore, travel, and live. All we have left will be the memories we make. So cherish the precious time we have.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So true. So true. Yeah. We need to remind ourselves of that all the time. So yeah, that's great. Cool. Thank you for that. I didn't realize that like someone was holding a record for the amount of countries at the age. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Because I thought, I don't know. I sometimes think there's people who live for travel, right? Like, there's so many people that you see in the news and stuff. They've just like left their job and all they do is travel and they get paid to travel and stuff like that. So I thought like there's people done it, but 25 is amazing. That's amazing. And to do on a budget, that's what we all struggle with, isn't it? Half of the time. So yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. I really appreciate your time today. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I've learned a lot. So
thanks for having me.
I'm going to Croatia next. That's the plan. So
brilliant.
There you go.
Brilliant. So the tune of the day for me kind of takes me back to my first kind of road trip in the UK and staycation. And it just floods back all of those memories. And it's The Life of Ram from '96.
Okay. Amazing. Great song.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. It's my pleasure. I appreciate your time. Thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at the Brown and Bougie Podcast. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.
கரை வந்த பிறகே பிடிக்குது கடலை நரை வந்த பிறகே புரியுது உலகை நேற்றின் இன்பங்கள் யாவும் கூடியே இன்றை இப்போதை அர்த்தமாக்குதே இன்றின் இப்போதின் இன்பம் யாவுமே நாளை ஓர் அர்த்தம் காட்டுமே சுடர் போல் தெளிவாய் நானே இல்லாத ஆழத்தில் நான் வாழ்கிறேன் கண்ணாடியாய் பிறந்தே காண்கின்ற எல்லாமும் நான் ஆகிறேன் இரு காலின் இடையிலே உரசும் பூனையாய் வாழ்க்கை போதும் அடடா எதிர்காணும் யாவுமே தீண்ட தூண்டும் அழகா நானே நானாயிருப்பேன் நாளில் பூராய் வசிப்பேன் போலே வாழ்ந்தே சலிக்கும் வாழ்வை மறுக்கிறேன் வாகாய் வாகாய் வாழ்கிறேன் வாகாய் வாகாய் ஆகிறேன் காற்றோடு வல்லூர் தான் போகுதே பாதை இல்லாமலே அழகாய் நிகழே அதுவாய் நீரின் ஆழத்தில் போகின்ற கல் போலவே ஓசையெல்லாம் துறந்தே காண்கின்ற காட்சிக்குள் நான் மூழ்கினேன் திமிலேறி காலை மேல் தூங்கும் காகமாய் பூமி மீது இருப்பேன் புவி போகும் போக்கில் கை கோர்த்து நானும் நடப்பேன் ஏதோ ஏகம் எழுதே ஆஹா ஆழம் தருதே தாய் போல் வாழும் கணமே ஆரோ பாடுதே ஆரோ ஆரீராரீரோ ஆரோ ஆரீராரீரோ கரை வந்த பிறகே பிடிக்குது கடலை நரை வந்த பிறகே புரியுது உலகை நேற்றின் இன்பங்கள் யாவும் கூடியே இன்றை இப்போதை அர்த்தமாக்குதே இன்றின் இப்போதின் இன்பம்